Have you ever wondered what the big deal is about unit boundaries? Why is everybody talking about it? Why does it seem so important? I know my unit boundaries. I can see the four walls, don't I? Can't I? Are you wondering why you're getting bills for repairs outside of your unit? Does this seem unfair to you? Does it sound like double dipping? I mean, you already pay for repairs through your monthly fees. To understand this a little bit better, today I'm joined by Joy Mathews from the firm of Rutherford Mathews Barristers and Solicitors. Yeah. Joy, it's a joy to have you here. I'm hoping that you can help us understand this unit boundary and why they're necessary. And perhaps more importantly, how is it that somebody can be charged for repairs that appear to be in the common element?
Absolutely, Murray, and I'm happy to be here as well too. And Murray, this is one of the most important topics in the condo world. And do you know why?
Why?
Because most people and most owners have no idea what a condo is. And to understand what a condo is, the first thing you need to know is what is your unit. The second thing is what's a common element. But you know what common elements are by knowing what a unit is. And how do you figure out what a unit is? You have to figure out your boundaries. And the boundaries, there's legal definition of boundaries, which is found in Schedule C of your declaration, and also another document called a description. The description and the declaration together create your condo. And I'm sure most managers and most owners have no idea what a description is, but that lays out the boundaries of the units versus the common elements. Schedule C of the declaration details what's in your unit. So between those two documents, you figure out the legal definition of what a boundary of a unit is, and by virtue of that, you know what is a common element, which is what the condo corporation has to take care of. At the same time, it gets a little bit trickier. In the declaration as well, there could be obligations that change the legal definitions. So you might have a legally bound unit, but you might be obligated to take care of a common element, or vice versa as well too.
Oh, interesting. So boundaries can be easily understood if you're going to the right documents, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we get that, and owners can refer to those documents. But before we go any further, and just to clarify here, talking about a high-rise or even a mid-rise, the balconies and the terraces, those are part of the unit, right?
Again, one of the hardest ideas to understand is the definition between a unit and a common element. And one of the biggest confusion is that balcony, I am the only one who can access it. It's part of my unit. But no, in most declarations, and almost every one I've ever seen, the balcony is an exclusive use common element. So I did say there's only two units and common elements, but there's a subset of common elements that's exclusive use. So only one owner has access to it. And it may not even be a balcony. It could be a patio. And in some declarations, it could be parking spaces or locker spaces as well too, right, which is a real trip because people think that, no, that's my locker. It might not be. It's a common element. It gets even more complicated with respect to definitions of when pipes and wires enter into a unit. Now, let's take one step back. The reason why all of this is a little confusing is because it's co-ownership. A condo is communal living together. So they got to draw boundaries somewhere. Right. They have to draw some lines, and some of them don't make sense, but some do. For example, these pipes. If a pipe goes into the building and services all the owners, that's great. It's a common element pipe. But if it splinters out and goes into one unit, then really it's almost like it serves that unit only. And in most declarations, guess what? You're responsible for that pipe.
Okay. All right. So let me paraphrase if I can. So I'm in the shower, and the water's draining out, and that pipe that it's draining through is mine until it hits the main stack, and then the main stack becomes common element. Is that right?
That's a good way. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
All right, good. So we have condos in Stratus that define the heat pumps or the fan coil units as part of the suite or part of the townhouse. But the condominium corporation ends up absorbing the expense to maintain it every spring. This is the opposite to what you just explained. This is now management of the common elements encroaching into my suite.
That's right. That's right. And this goes back to, and this is one of those other areas, when I mentioned the declaration defines the legal unit, I did also recall that the obligations might be a little shifty. So this is one of those examples. Heat pump, HVAC systems. If you look on the diagram, if you show your little box of where the unit is, you'll see a little bump usually for the HVAC system or the heating and so on. And it could literally be inside your closet.
Right.
But every condo has it either as part of the unit or part of the common elements. But irrespective of that, because every single person has one of those, there's a cost benefits approach to governing your condo, such that it makes sense for the condo to take on that responsibility as opposed to individual owners. Because when the condo does it, there's cost savings. You can do it on a bulk price. Individually, maybe an owner doesn't want to spend the money, and then there's a safety issue that naturally happens if someone's not maintaining their proper elements, even if it's part of their unit.
So it's part of the heating and cooling system, and to ensure that you're optimizing the way it's being used, the corporation can make the decision to say, well, we'll look after maintenance. But then what happens when the unit fails? What happens if it breaks down?
Yeah. Well, this is a sad, sad state of condo world. Most condominium legislations are merciless when it comes to something called chargebacks. Now, I don't use the word chargeback because it actually doesn't show up anywhere, but costs incurred against the corporation actually does. And in Ontario, at least, Section 85 of the Condo Act allows for the condo corporation to collect those costs incurred in the same manner as common expenses. Now, we really got to understand this part, which is quite dramatic. If it's a cost incurred by the corporation, they have the opportunity to register a lien against the condo. There's a 3-step process for that. First, they got to put the owner on notice that something happened and that they're responsible for it. Even if it's in their unit, the corporation had to go in and take care of it. Then there's a data default. That's a key issue, especially with these chargebacks. Everyone understands maintenance fees on a monthly basis. They're due on the 1st. Chargebacks, they could happen anytime during the month. But the 3-month period starts at that point in time. Okay. The second step is a notice of lien that has to be registered within 3 months. Then the lien itself has to be registered against title. Now, this is where it gets even worse. That $150, let's say, chargeback to fix whatever, turns into a $1,500 lien, and then potentially power of sale proceedings under the Mortgages Act, which could be $15,000. So that simple little fix now costs a lot more money if an owner tries to fight it. So my number one, I'm not giving legal advice, but I would highly suggest just pay it and deal with it later.
Right. When we say that a lot in the condominium and strata world, sometimes you fix what the problem is and then you figure out who pays afterwards. Mold is a good example of that,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I really want to thank you for this, for coming in, because I'm thinking, here's this pipe going from my bathtub to the stack, and something happens. I hear 2 arguments. One is, how do I maintain that? It's in between the floor joists. I can't maintain it. So it's not that I didn't maintain it, it's that I couldn't maintain it. And then there's a charge for that, obviously. That serves only the unit. Is that a situation like that where a lien would be in place?
Depends on the declaration. Every single condo is different. And also depends on the governance structure of that condo as well, too. So if it is the unit owner's responsibility, maybe they are responsible. But maybe the corporation has taken it on their shoulders to do it for them, and the corporation has some liability as well. So everyone has to double check their government documents. Legal advice is critically important. Plus, there's a whole insurance regime that's underlying all of this, so we don't want to go there.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I can see now that as you're talking about this, how important it is to understand those unit boundaries. And owners, I guess we want to say to not just the boards, but the owners, and boards can help educate the owners, you need to check those documents and understand not just the unit boundaries, but some of those things outside that you might be held responsible for financially. Joy, I want to thank you for coming today and helping us understand this. It's so important. And I guess it's like the detectives say, right? Follow the money. Joy, it has been a joy. So, well, there you have it, folks. The definition of your unit boundaries is so critical to understanding why you're being charged for things other than the monthly common element assessment. It has a lot of legal implications and understanding those things outside of the boundary. Hopefully we've cleared this up a little bit for you. Until next time, I'm Murray Johnson, and this has been your Condo Connection.